Hello everyone, good evening. My name is Madhusudan Yadav and I have around 8 plus years of IT experience. I am currently working from India for a multinational company which operates in telecommunication domain. So this is my first video on my YouTube channel which is Tech Tutors Tutorials. The intention of starting these tutorials is to upskill the IT workforce that we have and also take a different look at what all tech outcomes or tech disruptors that are coming into the picture and to slowly and steadily keep learning them and upskill your IT knowledge. Today, I'm starting with a new series which is going to be focused around Amazon Web Services. It's also known as AWS. Now, in today's lection, we are basically kicking off the Amazon Web Services tutorial, and today we are just going to cover the first topic: how does the traditional IT setup work? Slowly and steadily, I'll go on into the details of all the contents as well as the services that AWS is providing. But today's session is an introductory session, and the intention is to get you started on how traditional IT setup looks like, and later on, we will explore more into the AWS. We'll see how to provision services, how to use the services, what are the questions, what are the pain points that you need to know about, from where to read these documents, what things to remember, and finally, we will be at a position where we can take system decisions, basically how you're looking to design your system, how it is going to work, what is going to be the availability, what is going to be the durability of your system, how will you store your files, what will be your database architecture, which services are you going to use, what sort of database you are going to use. Okay, starting with today's content, which discusses about traditional IT setup. So this is a diagram wherein, let's say, a person named Nadhusudan, he has an idea, and today we are dealing with a lot of entrepreneurs. There are a lot of startups that are coming up, and we are at the brink where a startup, once it's reached a extent or a masses, it can really scale up to a new level. So let's say I have an idea and I want to test this idea. So what I do is I create the application. It can be a Windows application or a web browser based application, and I host it on my laptop. And since I hosted it on my laptop and I'm connected to my Wi-Fi network, all the people that are present in my home, basically everyone in my home will be able to access my web service or access my application via web browser. Now, after seeing the success of this web application, I decide to scale it up and scale it for my entire colony or my society, or the range of flats that where I'm living at. So in this situation, I have to scale the previous architecture wherein I am hosting the application on my laptop and keeping my laptop on, and wherein my laptop is itself working as a server, and it's also working as a database store. Since I have installed the database applications on my laptop itself, will not work because this was a private network. Everyone in my home was connected to my Wi-Fi network and hence they were able to access it. But if I want to allow access of people outside my home, outside my Wi-Fi network, I need to keep this application at a more public level access. I cannot allow everyone to access my private Wi-Fi of my home. Also, additionally, over here, my number of users will be very limited, and I can count them. It's just going to be a handful of users, so I can serve them with a capacity of few GBs from my RAM, as well as the data size should not grow more than what my hard disk is going to support. Additionally, over here, since I'm living in my home, the IT infrastructure cost, which is cooling of your laptop, the IT, electricity, the Wi-Fi is already taken care of because I'm living in the same environment. But now, as we discussed, if I'm moving this entire application to be, available to a larger set of users, for example, let's say in the society where I'm residing in, And for example, consider that there are 500 people that are present in my society. So what I do is I have to create this website, and I have to host it on a network which will be accessible within my society. I am still not going ahead and hosting it in a public network. In that case, I have to actually buy certain servers, provision the servers to the maximum capacity that can be achieved, wherein let's say there are 500 users or 500 people in my society, and each of them has one laptop, one tablet, and one mobile phone. So I have to provision my servers so that they can take a peak capacity of at least 500 concurrent users. Additionally, I have to guess this capacity in advance so that I can buy the servers. Plus, buying the servers is not just that. I also have to make sure when the peak load comes, the servers are not coming down, or they are ready whenever a person wants to visit the application. It should not be the case that a person wants to access the service but the service is down. So I have to keep someone who constantly monitors the health of my application and takes care of the maintenance of the entire infrastructure. Additionally, since I now have moved out of my home premises, the additional maintenance cost with respect to electricity, cooling systems, as well as space cost will also be applicable. Now, this is the if you think about the amount that I am spending over here to the amount that I'm spending over here is increased considerably, whereas the number of users is still very low. I'm still not servicing the entire nation or maybe entire globe or even an entire state. But then I have to buy some servers, and let's say if the app fails over here, what will I do about the servers that I have? I though all the capacity that I have is of no use until unless if I decide to create another startup or create another app. So this all things are kind of an upfront cost, wherein you are guessing the capacity that you will need, the guessing the number of users that will be there, and you're paying your operational cost, maintenance cost, as well as provisioning for the peak load. Now, if this particular society is from a bigger builder, and they want or they are allowing me to increase my reach of this particular application to a larger set of societies, or let's say I'm expanding my application to a different societies within a particular city, so I can get the network request from any of these places, which could be I could be accessing them. Multiple people from multiple different locations in my own city can be accessing them, as well as my current society, which was an existing content or app user who is accessing them. In this scenario, I again have to provision it for the maximum load. I have to have higher operational as well as maintenance cost, as well as the upfront cost will be more. I have to provision for the peak capacity, have to make sure that my application is fault tolerant. Secondly, I also have to make sure my application has a really good database backup. Because here I could be creating 10 different users. Here I could be creating 1k to 2k users, and over here it could be in millions. So I don't want a user that has created his account on my application due to some reason of my application servers crashing, the user itself gets deleted. I want to make sure that the database server is independent of my application server, and this is how a bigger application generally works. For example, if I want to deploy this into some uh, another area, maybe a couple of cities, my application servers I can create in that city, but I'll try to make sure that the database servers are same. So even if my one city, for example, Pune goes down, the users from Mumbai will still be able to use the database and still be serviced. So this is how traditional IT setup looks like, where there is a lot of guessing that goes on before you start to work on your application or your startup or your idea. Additionally, there's a lot of money that is spent upfront, which may not be very good if you're just a startup, or if you're just testing out your idea, or maybe if you don't know how it will scale. Secondly, there is an operational increase in operational as well as maintenance cost as you try to scale up to your environment, scale up the environment for more number of users. There's also a possibility of data loss. So if my laptop crashes, I'm kind of losing all the data. My servers crash, I lose all the data. If until unless I'm provisioning for replication of the data and a different backup of data, different database servers, there's also capacity that I might lose data of millions of users, which is something that we have to avoid at all cost whenever we are working with the client's data. Next, whenever we are working with this sort of application, there is a distributed application. I have to make sure that I'm basically scaling up for the user's needs. So let's say there is a I'm hosting a match. Okay, I'm hosting a local match that is being played in my society. I'm streaming it on my laptop. It is good enough for my home. But when if I'm hosting the live streaming of an match for my entire sports entire society or flats, in that case there can be my entire servers will be ready, and then the load will come in, and after some time the entire servers will go off. Okay, so for example, when the match starts, people start to stream in, and as soon as the match is done, all the traffic basically moves out. In this case, this is okay because I know when the traffic will start and when the traffic will kind of end. But with case of startup or something that you are scaling up, something so of a business that you don't know how fast it can scale, how many users will you get at a certain point of time. For example, when you are in multiple cities and suddenly there is an event that is happening on your application which is streaming data, which is basically streaming live data, lakhs of users can be getting added to your application at within minutes. For example, if you see live match streaming on really good streaming platforms, wherein in case of a 50, in case of 100 or multiple wicket halls, there can be lakhs and lakhs of users getting concurrently added to your application, and you still need to be able to provision the services to them. This is okay. This is not okay from the point of view of when you really want to scale up and scale fast. You cannot just order servers on the fly and they will be delivered to you within a few minutes or hours. There is a delivery time also, and then you have to also configure these servers when you get them. As additionally, you also have to make sure that all the servers are working as it is. There can also be some downtime that is involved in physical servers, as well as maintenance like patching the OS, deploying security fixes. All sort of things are also required when we work with traditional IT setup, wherein you are buying the servers, you are buying the compute capacity as you go, and you pay the upfront cost. You kind of provision for the maximum capacity, and then there are operational as well as maintenance costs associated with your setup. Additionally, you it's difficult to really scale up very fast, and in case you things don't work out, you will be having a lot of servers which are quite costly and not in use. So I think this is for today's session. We'll continue on the next topics like what is AWS, what is public cloud, and how can we benefit from AWS, and how do we basically utilize the public cloud. These are the few sections or tutorials that we are going to pick up next. Later on, we will log into the AWS console and as well as try to use the AWS CLI and dig more into the AWS. Thank you for joining this session. Thanks for watching. Thank you.